Ladies and gentlemen, there are people in this world who do not walk away because they stopped caring. There are people who create distance not because their love became smaller, but because their feelings became too deep, too honest, and too painful for them to handle while standing so close to what they fear losing. And this is one of the most heartbreaking truths about human connection. Sometimes the person who loves you the most is the very person who keeps their distance from you. At first, this idea seems impossible. We believe love should move closer. We believe love should speak openly, hold tightly, fight harder, and reach out without hesitation. We imagine love as something that always brings two people together. But real life is not always that simple. Human emotions are complicated. The heart does not always follow logic. Love is not always a straight path toward happiness. Sometimes love becomes a quiet road filled with unanswered questions, hidden emotions, unfinished conversations, and feelings that are too heavy to express. This is where the pain begins. When someone loves you deeply but chooses to stay away, the person left behind often feels confused. They may feel rejected, forgotten, or even betrayed. They begin searching for answers in their own mind. Why did this person pull away? Why are they not here? Did I do something wrong? Was everything I felt just an illusion? Did they ever truly care? But sometimes the truth is much more complicated than simple rejection. Sometimes the person who loves you deeply is staying away because they are fighting a battle inside themselves that you cannot see. Sometimes they are carrying wounds, fears, and insecurities that they have never shared with anyone. Sometimes they are standing at a distance because being close to you awakens emotions they have spent years trying to hide. It awakens the fear of not being enough, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being completely seen, the fear of loving someone so deeply that they lose control over their own emotions. They may fear becoming dependent on someone. They may fear needing someone so much that they no longer recognize themselves. And when we look beyond the surface, when we learn to understand the language of silence, we begin to discover something important. Distance is not always a sign of absence. Silence is not always a sign of emptiness. Pulling away is not always proof that love has disappeared. Sometimes distance is simply what love looks like when a person feels overwhelmed. Carl Jung explained that the human mind contains many hidden layers. What people show to the world is only a small part of who they truly are. Beneath their words, their actions, and the image they present to others, there are hidden emotions waiting to be understood. There is a hidden side of every person where they store their fears, their pain, their shame, their unmet needs, and the parts of themselves they struggle to accept. So when someone loves you deeply but stays away, perhaps what you are seeing is not the absence of love. Perhaps you are seeing their inner conflict. Perhaps you are seeing the moment when their fear becomes louder than their feelings. Perhaps you are witnessing the silent battle between what their heart wants and what their mind believes they can survive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the behavior of someone who feels nothing. A careless person does not spend their quiet moments thinking about you. A careless person does not carry your memory through ordinary days. A careless person does not write a message, stare at the screen, and then decide not to send it. A person who feels nothing does not struggle with whether they should reach out. They do not imagine conversations with you and then stop themselves because fear takes over. A heart that is truly disconnected does not fight this kind of battle. A heart that no longer cares does not hurt silently. When someone who loves you deeply chooses distance, there is often a story hidden beneath that choice. Sometimes they have been hurt before. Sometimes they loved someone in the past and experienced pain they never fully healed from. Sometimes they opened their heart completely and were met with rejection, disappointment, or emotional damage. They learned that loving deeply can also mean becoming vulnerable. And vulnerability can feel dangerous to someone who has learned through experience that love can bring pain, so they retreat. Not because they do not care about you, not because their feelings are fake, but because they do not fully trust that their own heart can survive another emotional risk. They may tell themselves they are being strong, but in reality, they are protecting an old wound. They may say everything is fine, while inside, they are struggling. They may appear calm on the outside, but your presence may awaken emotions they cannot easily control. You remind them of something they deeply desire but are afraid to reach for. You remind them of emotional honesty, and emotional honesty can be terrifying for someone who has spent years protecting themselves through control and distance. This is why people often misunderstand silence. They assume distance means a lack of interest. They assume absence means indifference. They believe that if someone does not chase them, that person does not care. But the human heart does not always reveal itself so clearly. Sometimes the stronger the feeling, the stronger the defense becomes. Sometimes people stay away because they believe they are not worthy of the love they feel. They look at the person they care about and they become afraid that one day all their weaknesses will be discovered. They fear that someone will see their insecurities, their unfinished healing, their mistakes, and the parts of themselves they still struggle to accept. And they believe that once they are truly seen, they will eventually be abandoned. So they leave before abandonment has the chance to arrive. They create distance before rejection can happen. They protect themselves before they can be hurt. It is not because their love is weak, it is because their fear is powerful. And beneath that fear, the feeling can still remain. That is what makes this kind of love both powerful and painful. A love that remains hidden is still a feeling. A love that stays quiet is still a feeling. A love that struggles to find words because it carries too much emotional weight is still something real inside a person. It may not be perfect. It may not be enough to create a healthy relationship. It may not be enough to build a future, but it exists. It lives inside a human heart, even when that heart does not know how to express it. Perhaps you are learning that love without consistency is not enough. Perhaps you are learning the difference between someone having strong feelings and someone being truly committed. Perhaps you are learning that a heart can be deeply moved and still not be ready to stay. That kind of lesson is not easy. It is not the kind of truth people want to hear when they are holding on to hope. But it is a truth that life eventually teaches us. And even while learning this, we must be careful not to let pain turn us cold. We must not allow disappointment to convince us that every person who creates distance is dishonest. We must not believe that every silence is a sign that love was fake. Some people are genuine and still afraid. Some people care deeply and still carry wounds they have never healed. Some people feel love strongly but do not know how to express it in a healthy way. Some people leave not because they feel nothing, but because they have not yet learned how to stay. That does not mean you should wait forever. It does not mean you should build your entire life around someone else's uncertainty. It does not mean you should accept endless confusion just because you understand their pain. Understanding someone does not mean abandoning yourself. But it does remind us that human beings are complicated. People often carry invisible battles behind the faces they show the world. A person can have a loyal heart and a frightened heart at the same time. A person can love someone and still run from the very thing they desire most. Imagine someone sitting alone late at night looking at their phone. Your name appears in their thoughts. Their hand moves toward the screen, but they stop. They think about sending a message, but they hesitate. They wonder if reaching out will change anything. They wonder if you still want to hear from them. They wonder if they will make things uncomfortable. They wonder if one conversation will bring back emotions they have tried so hard to control. They stand between two fears, the fear of losing you and the fear of facing what they feel. In that silence, love does not always disappear. Sometimes it becomes stronger. Sometimes the feeling remains, but the courage disappears. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to move forward while fear is still present. So when someone who loves you deeply stays away, it may mean that fear has become stronger than their desire to reach out, at least for that moment. But even fear has a beginning. Fear is often like a guard standing at the entrance of an old wound. It protects a place where someone was hurt before. It reacts because it remembers pain. It creates distance because it expects loss. It pushes people away because it believes separation is safer than being hurt again. So when fear keeps someone away from you, it may not be showing a lack of love. It may be protecting an injury they never healed. That wound may have started in childhood. It may have come from a painful relationship. It may have come from betrayal by someone they trusted. It may have come from losing faith in others, or even losing faith in themselves. Sometimes people are not running away because of what you did. Sometimes they are running away because of what happened to them long before they ever met you. You may become the person who awakens their fear, but you are not always the reason that fear exists. Knowing this should make us more compassionate, but it should also make us wiser. Because understanding someone's pain does not mean sacrificing your own peace. Caring about someone's wounds does not mean allowing their confusion to become your permanent suffering. You can have compassion and still have boundaries. You can understand someone and still choose to walk away. You can believe that their feelings are real and still decide that their absence is not something you can continue living with. That is emotional maturity. And perhaps this is the deepest lesson hidden inside this entire truth. Someone who loves you deeply may be staying away because their heart is fighting a battle within itself. Their emotions may be real, their attachment may be real, their memories may be real, but your life cannot remain frozen while they fight that battle. You deserve a love that is present. You deserve a love that communicates. You deserve a love that has the courage to stand beside you instead of only feeling something from a distance. You deserve more than potential. You deserve more than promises that exist only in someone's imagination. You deserve real effort, real honesty, real presence. Still, before we learn to let go, we must first acknowledge the pain, because loving someone who loves you but stays away creates a very unique kind of heartbreak. It hurts because the heart does not understand things the same way the mind does. The mind can analyze, the mind can explain, the mind can say that distance has a reason, the mind can understand that someone may be afraid. But the heart remembers. The heart remembers the moments that felt special. It remembers the small gestures. It remembers the way someone looked at you. It remembers conversations that felt different from ordinary conversations. The heart collects every small sign, a glance, a pause, a message, a memory, a moment that felt meaningful even if it was never fully explained. The heart takes these pieces and creates an entire world around them. And when that world suddenly becomes quiet, the emptiness can feel overwhelming. You may tell yourself to move forward, but healing does not happen instantly. You may tell yourself to stop thinking about them, but emotions do not disappear simply because we command them to. You may tell yourself that they are gone, but your body can still remember what it felt like to have them close. This is why unspoken love can sometimes last longer than spoken love. Spoken love has clarity, it has words, it has definitions, it has conversations that create understanding. But unspoken love lives in uncertainty, it lives in questions, it lives in possibilities, and uncertainty can become something the heart keeps returning to. We begin asking ourselves if they miss us, if they think about us, if we mattered, if they are protecting themselves or if they have already moved on. Silence rarely gives answers. Instead, silence often creates more questions. Yet even within this pain, there is something meaningful about loving deeply. To love deeply means allowing another person to matter. It means having the courage to open your heart even when there is no guarantee of the outcome. It means accepting that connection always carries some risk. That is not weakness. That is proof that your heart is alive. And perhaps that is the final lesson hidden inside all of this. Someone may love you deeply and still stay away. Someone may think about you often and still struggle to come closer. Someone may carry feelings they never express because fear has become stronger than their courage. But you must remember something important. Your life cannot be built only around what someone feels in silence. Hidden feelings may be real, deep emotions may be real, a connection may be real. But your heart deserves more than something that exists only in the shadows. Because love is not only about what someone feels inside. Love is also about what someone chooses to do. Love is shown through presence. Love is shown through effort. Love is shown through the willingness to face fear instead of allowing fear to control everything. Someone can love you and still not be ready. Someone can care about you and still not know how to hold you. Someone can miss you and still not have the strength to return. And when that happens, it does not mean you are not valuable. It does not mean you were not enough. It does not mean the connection was meaningless. It simply means that feelings and readiness are not always the same thing. A person may have a heart full of emotion but a life full of limitations. They may have love, but lack courage. They may have memories, but lack action. They may have longing, but lack the ability to create something stable. And this is where you must learn the difference between understanding someone and waiting endlessly for someone. You can understand why they are afraid, you can respect the pain they carry, you can have compassion for the battles they fight inside themselves, but you cannot lose yourself trying to rescue someone from a place they have not chosen to leave. You cannot keep standing at the door of someone else's heart while your own heart is waiting to be cared for. You cannot spend your entire life hoping that one day someone will become ready. Because your heart deserves a love that meets you in the present, not only one that promises a possibility in the future. Sometimes the hardest truth is this: a person can love you deeply and still not be able to give you the love you need. And accepting that truth is painful, because we want love to be enough. We want feelings to solve everything. We want the person who understands us deeply to also choose us completely. But life does not always work that way. Sometimes two people can have a powerful connection and still not be able to build a peaceful relationship. Sometimes timing is wrong. Sometimes wounds are too deep. Sometimes fear is too strong. Sometimes a person must face themselves before they can truly stand beside someone else. And while their journey deserves compassion, your journey deserves attention too. Do not forget yourself while trying to understand someone else. Do not abandon your own happiness while waiting for someone else's healing. Do not measure your worth by someone's ability or inability to show up. Their distance may reveal their struggle. It does not reveal your value. Their silence may reveal their fear. It does not reveal your importance. Their inability to choose you may reveal their limitations. It does not reveal that you were unworthy of being chosen. Sometimes we spend too much time asking why someone left, why someone stayed away, why someone could not love us in the way we hoped. But perhaps the deeper question is different. What is this experience teaching you? What is this silence showing you? What is this distance helping you understand about the kind of love you truly deserve? Maybe it is teaching you patience. Maybe it is teaching you self-respect. Maybe it is teaching you that love without action cannot create security. Maybe it is teaching you that someone can have feelings for you and still not be the person who is ready to walk beside you. Maybe it is teaching you to stop chasing explanations and start choosing peace. Because there comes a moment when you must stop looking only at someone's feelings and start looking at their choices. Feelings matter, but choices reveal character. Someone may feel deeply, but what do they do with those feelings? Do they communicate? Do they make an effort? Do they try to overcome their fears? Do they create a safe place for love to exist? Or do they leave you carrying the weight of uncertainty alone? These questions are not meant to create anger. They are meant to create clarity. Because clarity is not the enemy of love. Clarity protects love from becoming self-destruction. There is a quiet strength in understanding the difference between being loved and being chosen, between being remembered and being reached, between being important in someone's heart and being present in someone's life. A person may think about you every day and still not be ready to build a future with you. A person may care about you deeply and still not have the emotional ability to give you stability. And when you understand this, you stop blaming yourself for someone else's inability to stay. You stop believing that their distance happened because you were not enough. You begin to see that sometimes people walk away from beautiful things because they are not prepared to receive them. Still, the pain remains. Of course it does, because every human being wants to feel chosen. Every human being wants to feel understood. Every human being wants to feel that their love is being returned with the same honesty and depth. So when someone steps away, the pain is not only about losing that person, it is also about losing the future you imagined. You grieve the conversations that never happened. You grieve the moments that never came. You grieve the possibility of what could have been. You grieve the version of yourself that existed when you believed this connection might become something lasting. But grief is not proof that you were weak. Grief is proof that you cared. A heart that hurts is a heart that was open, and an open heart can heal. It may not heal quickly. It may not heal perfectly. It may carry memories for a long time, but it can transform pain into wisdom. It can become more aware, more grounded, more careful with where it gives its energy. It can learn that intensity is not always the same as security. It can learn that attraction is not always the same as alignment. It can learn that someone feeling deeply about you does not always mean they are capable of loving you in the way you need. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Love should not only be felt, love should be lived. Love should not only exist in someone's thoughts. Love should appear in someone's actions. Love should not only be hidden in someone's heart. Love should have the courage to step into the light. So if someone who loves you deeply is staying away, remember this. Their story may be about fear. It may be about old wounds. It may be about timing. It may be about things they are still trying to understand within themselves. Their silence may carry emotions they do not know how to express. Their distance may come from a heart that is struggling, but your responsibility is not to wait forever for someone else's courage to appear. You are allowed to understand their pain. You are allowed to honor what you shared. You are allowed to believe that the connection mattered, and you are also allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to choose a love that does not leave you constantly wondering where you stand. Because real love does not only touch the soul, real love arrives. Real love communicates. Real love makes an effort. Real love may have fears. Real love may have struggles. Real love may need time. But real love cannot hide forever from the very person it claims to care about. And that is where the deepest truth exists. Someone who loves you deeply may stay away because their heart is still fighting a battle they have not overcome. But your heart must still be free enough to live. Their silence may explain their pain, but it should never become the prison of your future. Their fear may be understandable, but your need for honesty is just as important. So let the silence teach you. Let the distance reveal what it needs to reveal. Let the truth unfold in its own time, but do not make confusion your permanent home. If their love is real, eventually it must become courage. If their care is real, eventually it must become action. If their feelings are real, eventually they must find a way to become presence. And if they cannot, then you must have the strength to accept that deep feelings without commitment are still a form of absence. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. And clarity is also an act of love. So remember this whenever you find yourself missing someone who remains distant. Sometimes the person who loves you most may be the person standing the farthest away. Not because you were not worth staying for. Not because you were not enough. But because they are fighting something inside themselves that you cannot fight for them. Your purpose is not to heal their fear. Your purpose is not to shrink yourself so their uncertainty feels comfortable. Your purpose is to honor your own heart, to protect your peace, to remain open to a love that is honest, present, and brave. Because your soul deserves a love that does not only exist in secret, it deserves a love that stands beside you, a love that chooses you, a love that shows up. And perhaps that is the final truth. What remains hidden still seeks to be revealed. What remains unspoken still seeks a voice. But until feelings become action, they remain only potential. And your life is too precious to be built only on potential. Yes, someone may love you deeply and still stay away. Yes, their distance may come from fear instead of indifference. Yes, their silence may carry emotions they never learned how to express. But never confuse hidden love with complete love. Never confuse longing with loyalty. Never sacrifice your peace because someone else is afraid to take a step forward. Love is meant to meet you. Love is meant to see you. Love is meant to stand beside you, not only remember you from a distance. And if someone cannot do that today, then let their distance become your lesson. Let their silence become your wisdom. Let their hidden feelings remind you of one final truth. Even the deepest emotions are not enough without courage, and that is the truth.